if Baruch Hashem, one of the big milas of sitting with the Rosh Yeshiva's Baal Mesorah. We're connecting ourselves to thousands of years of Mesorah and stories. If the Rav's Rabbeim were alive now, Rabbi Yosef Ber, or any other, what would his message for Am Yisrael be now for this Tkufa that we're in?
Rav Soloveitchik used to say that the PLO has a din of Amalek. He said Amalek does not have to be a biological descendant from the original Amalek Ben Achaden. He said any nation who adopts a policy to wipe out the Jewish people, men, women, and children, has a din of Amalek. Said Sefer Chinuch writes as if the Rambam wrote about the Zainum is Kvar Obad Zichron, Basel Cheber Bilbel is Kolom Kuloi. So the din of Hachrim Tachrimim on the Zainum is no longer applied. So the Sefer Chinuch writes as if the Rambam wrote also Kvar Obad Zichron on Amalek. So he said, you look at the Rambam, it's not true. The Rambam didn't say it on Amalek. So he said his father, he said the name of his father. I think Rabbi Yehuda Gershuni printed this in Mishpat HaMelucha. There was a guy, Rabbi Yehuda Gershuni, he was one of the star Talmidim of Rabbi Shimon Shkop, very strong. He was the son-in-law of Rabbi Lezer Silver. He used to always sign Chastan and Beit Nesir, Lezer Silver, Lezer Silver from Cincinnati, was on the Presidium of the Agudas, chief rabbi of America and Canada too. There he goes, yeah. So he was, Yehuda Gershuni put out a very strong sefer in learning. He wrote a lot. He wrote a lot about the Medina, Madam Shana. He wrote a lot about the Rama Milchus Malachim. So I think he quotes this in the name of Rab Chaim. Rab Soloveitchik said, I think in the name of his father, Rab Moshe Soloveitchik, that any nation who adopts the policy to wipe out the Jewish people has the din of Amalek. So he used to say about PLO, these people are worse than the PLO. Rab Soloveitchik said in La Halacha that the Nazis had a din of Amalek. So then the relatives in Eretz Yisrael, the Soloveitchik family in Eretz Yisrael, were upset about that they never heard this. So they thought that the Rambam and the Mar Nevuchim says not so. They say the Rambam and Nevuchim seems to say that Amalek is only those who are biologically descendants of the original Amalek. So they publicized this in disagreement with Rabbi Yosef Ben Soloveitchik. So someone else publicized that there used to be Rabbi Yisrael Gustman. He used to have a yeshiva here at the end of his life in Yerushalayim. So he was on the Bezdin at a very young age. He was on the Bezdin with Reb Chaim Moshe. So some of the Talmidim published different vertlach that he said La Halacha Agoda from Rav Gustman. So one of them was, he was once discussing during the Second World War. What would he say about the Nazis? He said, Reb Chaim Moshe said, I would tend to agree with the other Gedolim of our generation who thought that the Nazis had a din of Amalek. So Rabbi Moses said that. He felt also like that. Whatever nation adopts the policy to wipe out all the Jewish people. That's what they have in the papers now, that members of the Knesset want to make a bill that anyone who's a terrorist, an Arab terrorist, wants to wipe out all the Jewish people, they have the right to kill them, even though there's international law that you're not allowed to kill a prisoner of war. But a terrorist is an Amalekite, so we want to have the right to kill him. So there's a discussion in the Knesset, there's going to be a discussion in the Knesset whether they have a right to do that. Rav Soloveitchik thought that should be the din. They should have the din of Amalek. You have to fight till you kill all of them. Soloveitchik quoted Zohar in a published essay, quotes a Zohar. When the Baruch Shalom created the world, there was Tohu Vavohu. Then Sheshis made Bereshis, he made Tikkunim, by Arkim Eskol Shos V'Hine Toimiyot. No more Tohu Vavohu. So the Zohar says not exactly. 99% of the Tohu Vavohu was straightened out. 1% remained, and that's Amalek. And the Rebbe Shalom told us, Yodel Keisko, he swore he's going to wipe out Bocha Em Chazer Amalek, and he asked us to become his shutfim and wiping out the rest of the Tohu Vavohu to improve the whole world. And it's true, because these terrorists, these Hamas, they not only they want to wipe out the Jewish people, they're going to take over all of Europe. They're going to kill every European who doesn't agree with them. That's how the European governments realize that the Jewish soldiers are fighting the battle for them. If they should succeed, if the Jewish army will succeed in wiping out these Hamas, we're saving the whole of Europe. if we're not going to succeed. So they say, your daughter's going to be the next one. Just like they raped all the women. They have a video. They have a video that the terrorists took. They had a video thing on their forehead. And the Israelis showed the video to different people, the way they raped the Jewish woman. 28 different men raped her, and then they shot her to death. This is human beings. The Nazis didn't do that. Nazis did it. They did worse than the Nazis. So that's mamish tov vavo. And we become shutfim with the Rebbeinu Shalom. We have to daven in the Shemana Esrei, Mashinim. We have to daven in Shema Kaleni. You have to add on. The Rebbeinu Shalom, you promised us. You took a shvur, you got to wipe out the oral case go. You took a shvur. It's going to wipe out Amalek. Ein Hashem Shalom, Ein Kisu Shalom, Adi Machar, Achi Machar Zara Shalom. The whole world is incomplete. So we have to be mashlim the bria by wiping out Amalek. We're saving the whole world. If you think about it, we're really saving all the going. The whole world is being saved.
If the Beis HaMikdash won't be rebuilt by Tisha B'Av, the Yeshiva think there should be a kina to be added for what happened? There are kinas that are written on far less than.
Sure. We never had something like this. This is worse than the Nazis. There were still people after I remember the Nazis would throw up a baby in the air and shoot the baby. But the way they did, they cut off the baby's head, they cut off the woman's breast. They did crazy things. It were worse than the Nazis. Unbelievable. Salvation didn't like any of the kinnis that they wrote. He didn't like any of the kinnis. He used to go sometimes to graduations. They always would have a clergyman compose a prayer. Sometimes the rabbi would compose. He says, "Ona tamen on arech." He thought that people in our generation don't know how to compose a prayer. The Gemara says, "Anshe Knesset Agdola composed all the tefillas because they had 120 chachamim ubehem kam Levi." So Sarah Chaim Volozhin writes in the Nefesh HaChaim, you have to have a koyach hanavua to be able to compose a tefillah, to know what you're talking about. The Gemara has like that. You got to praise the Rebbeinu Shalom. He's so powerful. You got to praise the king. King is so rich. A farmer's going to praise the king. And the king is so rich. He has $100 in his bank account. $100 bank account is a joke. So whatever we're going to say, we don't have a koyach hanavua. Whatever we're going to say, it's going to be a joke. We're going to be describing how great the Rebbeinu Shalom is. So he said he thinks of all the tefillahs that the rabbis compose. All the guys, a conservative rabbi from said Onatam, they don't know how to compose tefillahs. They didn't like the kinnis that they composed for the Shoah. He thought that they were. It rhymes, stram dram. It rhymes so well. So the people today don't know it.
Balabatim who aren't in the army, what should? A two-pronged question. Balabatim who aren't in the army, what could we do more for the matzav? And if let's say someone has a yeshiva right now, should they add more zdarim, more?
The Gemara comments on the pasuk in Shira Shirim in Shira Malas in the 15 Shira Malas. So the pasuk shot in the pasuk is when they were already, so they were excited that they're going to Yerushalayim. So the Gemara has an additional level of interpretation. It's not with Pshuta. The soldiers in the Jewish army are successful in battle in the schus of Talmud Torah. So the Netziv, that's a Gemara Makkah. So the Netziv in his Hakdama to the Shultas has a long section. It's really Hakdama to all of Torah Shabbat Pes. In the middle, he has one section about Muhammad. So he quotes from the Mishnah in Pirkei Avos. There are specific punishments that are specifically connected with specific averos. So he says that Milchama is caused because of Bittul Torah or because of Ivos Adin. I know in America there are unfortunately many corrupt, absolutely corrupt Bati Dinim. You come for Din Torah, they will not judge you honestly. There's a famous Talmud Chacham in Flatbush, very well known. He will encourage people to go to secular court rather than to go to a Din Torah, because he says it's saying the better chance of having Mishpat Emes when the Shikar Goy should judge than if you go to a bezin of Jewish Rabbanim, because they're so corrupt, it's scandalous. It takes Sheicha. They're a farce. A lot of the Bati Dinim in New York area, I don't know, in the rest of the world, New York, it's a farce. So the Mishnah says, Pirkei Avos, Alivas Adin, Abitul Torah, Milchama Bala. So the Baruch will make a war in Vietnam, in Korea. And if we don't get the hint, he'll bring the Muhammad across. If we still don't get the hint, he'll bring the Muhammad by us. till we'll crack open our heads and we'll realize there's Ibis Adin and Bittul Torah. So learning Torah, he quotes that the Bimei Chizkiyo Melech made everybody learn. The Gemara says, "But can be done by Beersheba. Every child knew the laws of Tumah V'Tara." What right did Chizkiyo Melech have to force everybody to learn? A guy wants to make money. He wants to go into business. He doesn't want to sit and learn. He can be Yisrael Yisrael Yom Alai. They learn 5 minutes in the daytime, 5 minutes at nighttime. The Gemara says, strictly speaking, Yisrael Kriyashma. If you say Kriyashma Bayom, Kriyashma Balai, then strictly speaking, Yisrael Yisrael Yom Alai. You have to learn a little bit every day, a little bit every night. You won't be able to become a Talmid Chacham just by learning 5 minutes every day, 5 minutes every night, but that's all you're mechuyev to do. So the Nitziv explained, no, he did it for security purposes, for the war effort. He wanted to make sure that the Jewish people would be secure. There wouldn't be any milchamas. So he forced everybody to learn in order for the security of the country. That's the way to... Milchamas bala olam al bitul Torah not leave sadin. So when you learn, we have to daven also. You have to... The pasuk says in Chumash in Parashat Ba'al Esra, Chisavoy milchama be'artzchem al atzar, hariyosem achatzaitzvus. The Jews who live in Eretz Yisrael are considered Klal Yisrael. The Gemara says the Jews who live in Chutz La'aretz have Kedushas Yisrael, which is Machayev and Mitzvot, so all the Jews who live in Chutz La'aretz have Kedushas Yisrael. We're obligated to observe mitzvahs, but we're not part of Klal Yisrael. Klal Yisrael only, they're did based on that assumption. Klal Yisrael only applies to the Jews who live in Eretz Yisrael. The original pasuk is by Parhal Amdam Shal Tzibur. It says if an individual person doesn't have their V'shog, which if he would have done the Aver V'mezid, he wouldn't have Karis. So if I had kosher done the Karis, Shigigos Achatas, he has to bring Achatas. What if 5 million Jews violated Chilul Shabbos, the same Avera? So yeah, each one has to bring his own Korban Achatas, fortune and money. But what if Bez Nagadol Paskin, that it's mutter to turn on lights, and everybody turns on lights? The Bez Nagadol says it's mutter, and then 50 years later, you have new members of the Bez Nagadol, and they reverse the Psak. And it comes out that the Roiv HaTzibur violated, the Roiv of the Jews who live in Eretz Yisrael violated Chilul Shabbos because of a mistaken Psak of the Bez Nagadol. So then there's a din, V'nelu Davim Eni HaKohol, Ruba Kukuloi, the Roiv of the Jews who live in Eretz Yisrael. So then the Bez Nagadol brings Parhal Dovashot Tzibur, and everybody gets a kapar. So the Gemara says, the word Kohol only applies to the Jews who live in Eretz Yisrael. Because the pasuk says in Sefer Malachim, when Shlomo HaMelech built the first Beis Hamikdash, throngs of people showed up, Kohol Gadol, Melavoi Chamos, Ad Nachem Mitzrayim for the northernmost point, then it's up to the southernmost point, Kohol Gadol. So the most you see from that pasuk, only the Jews who live in Eretz Yisrael have the status of Kohol. That's the Tziruf of Klal Yisrael is only, it's a secular word. The Eretz Yisrael is the national homeland of the Jewish people. There was a character, Ben Gurion. So he used to say, the Jews who live in Chutz La'aretz are not Jewish. You understand why? He didn't believe in Kedushas Yisrael. So to him, in his mind, the only thing that exists is the Jewish nation. The Jewish nation is only those who live in Eretz Yisrael, those who live in Chutz La'aretz. Like Yichidim Dom. Gemara has quite a few dinim based on it. The Rambam has. Rambam interprets a few dinim based on this. Only the Jews who live in Eretz Yisrael. The calls also. That's the pasuk. Chisavam b'chama b'yartzachem. Means that Klal Yisrael is b'sakana, even if there are 15, 20 million Jews live in Chutz La'aretz, and there's only 1 million of 10 Jews live in Eretz Yisrael. The 10 Jews are the Klal Yisrael. The 20 million Jews live in Chutz La'aretz, those are Kiyichidim. So when you have Tzoras HaRabim, Tzoras HaTzibur, then there's a din Hariyosem HaChatzotz. How come we don't blow Chatzotz now? So Moshe has a tshuva say, because the Rishonim say this. We assume, it's a question, why do we assume? We assume the mitzvah only applies the Chatzotz of the Beis Hamikdash. I think he quotes a Magen Mishnah on the side of the Rambam. We don't have the Beis Hamikdash, we don't have Chatzotz, so we don't. Oh, this whole, you should blow shofar. You don't blow. Rabbi Gorin, he used to blow shofar in the middle of the Muhammad. Based on that din, then the Rambam writes in the beginning of Hilchas Taniyos that a mitzvah said in Torah, Lizuk olo hariya. Lizuk means a higher level than tefillah. Tefillah yadav. Lizuk means tza'aka. Tefillah she'eshima demois. The Gemara says in the end of Perek Hazor, Yom shechar Beis Hamikdash, nin alu sharei tefillah. Beis Hamikdash is kidesei Beis tefillah yikar l'chol ha'amim. When Shlomo HaMelech completed the building of the first Beis Hamikdash, he offered a beautiful tefillah. It's in the Rayomim and it's in Sefer Malachim with slight discrepancies. And he only says, he doesn't say a word about bringing korbanos. So they built a Beis Hamikdash. Everyone should have a place to come and daven. When there's no Beis Hamikdash, we face that direction. But Beis Hamikdash is not there, so the tefillahs are not accepted the same way they used to be accepted as much of Beis Hamikdash hayakayim. So then the Gemara says, "But afal pisha ninolu shari tefillah shari demois la ninolu." If the person cries, because it's some people could just turn on faucet and cry in the middle of karbanos. And Yiddish folklore, they tell a story. I was saying he got Mekayman and he was crying. So he said, "What are you crying about?" So he said, "Nebuch, the part man is rough." I thought that they burned my life. Part man is rough. They didn't burn my life. The Jews will never burn an animal alive. The Arabs will burn human beings alive. The Jews will never do such a thing. So if a person davens with sincerity and an ace tzorah, and he's moved to tears because it's such a serious thing, shari demos line in avo. So the Gemara says trua. It says in the Chumash, Rosh Hashanah's Yom Trua M'Targabin, and Targum Onkel says Yom Yabava. Yabava means to cry. So you have to below Trua means either Shvarim or Trua, Shvarim, Trua, 3 ways of crying. That elevates the tefillah to the level of Zo'oka, elevates the tefillah Sheishim at the most. So you have to daven something special. Like the Chasam Sofer writes in his diary when there was a Melchama in Pressburg, he says, they said, Avinu Malkeinu every day. And a lot of yeshivas, and our yeshiva in New York, a lot of yeshivas here, they say Avinu Malkeinu every day. You have to say Tilim, you have to say special thing. You can't just say the same thing that you daven every day and just add on to the Shemona Esrei. That's tefillah. You have to have Zo'aka. Lizuk Elohari. Lizuk means Zo'aka Be'ez Tzorim. The Rebbe Shalom is in full control of everything in the world, and he's the one who can wipe out our money. We have to beg of him. He should fulfill his shvuah now. In the Nevi'im, it says there's going to be such a thing as Melchemes Gog and Magog. In the tradition, you always lay in that haftar Melchemes Gog and Magog, Shabbos Chalamoid Sukkot. This year there was no Shabbos Chalamoid Sukkot. But the reason why they read Chalamoid Shabbos Chalamoid Sukkot in Shulchan Aruch, it says because they had an old tradition. Melchemes Gog and Magog is going to begin in Tishrei. Maybe this is Melchemes Gog and Magog. So it says they'll rape women and they'll kill people, they'll murder a lot of people, so they won't be able to title later on. We were just kidding. They can't title, they were kidding. They killed so many people, and they raped so many women, it's unbelievable, and they're vicious that they did. They won't be able to title it. Maybe this is Melchemes Gog and Magog. And the Gemara says, Melchamas are Schachter de Gula. The Chasam Sofer writes about the war that he lived through. Some little war over there, he said. He had to move out of Pressburg for a couple of weeks because of the war. And they said Avinu Malkeinu every day. They said the Lom B'Hurachim every day of the week. So he says a suggestion was made that they should be Gozer Tainis, that the Rebbe Shalom should stop the war because Jewish people are getting killed every day. So he says you're not allowed to pray that the war should end because since the Gemara says he understood every Melchama is as Schachter Gula. Rashi seems to say Melchama about Eretz Yisrael, who's going to be the Balabas? And I said that's how Schachter Gula. If the Jews win the war, that's how you lead to Binyan Beis. Gula means Binyan Beis Hamikdash, and Schachter Gula means Gimel Mitzvahs and Stab Yisrael B'chnisasim La'aretz. First Lahamed Lahem Melech, to establish a Jewish government, L'achar Zara Shal Amalek, and live in Islam Beis Abchira. So Melchemes Amalek, that's an Aschalta Delut, that's going to lead to Ashroas Ashchina. The Ramban HaChumash has a Hakdam to Chumash Shmos. I have an old Chumash, I have a reprint of an old Chumash, if by mistake they put the Hakdam to Shmos at the end of Bereshis. And in New Chumashim, they rearranged it so they put the Hakdam at the beginning of Shmos. So the Ramban writes that Chumash Bereshit, the story of all the beginnings. He says the beginning of the world, beginning of mankind, beginning of the Jewish nation. When you get to the end of Chumash Bereshit, you're introduced to the Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, the Niko Avos Shloisha, the 3 founding fathers of the Jewish religion. Moshe Rabbeinu was Adon Hanavim. He understood everything deeper than the Avos. He was a great Navi, but all the Ikari Hamuna were revealed to the Gimel Avos. They were the founders of the religion. And then the Yud Gimel Shvatim. There were Yud Gimel Shvatim. Every Shevet is supposed to have a Bez Nagol Shel HaShevet. And the Rebbe Shalom appreciates variety. Each Shevet should do Avodas Hashem in a different way. And Elohim Divim Kim Chai. That's why the Rebbe Shalom appreciates variety. He wanted to have 13 different Shvatim, 12, 13 Shvatim, Shevet Levi also. Each Shevet should have a different derech and Avodas Hashem. So the So the Ramban writes the Chumash Bereshit is the three beginnings, and he says Chumash Mos is the story of the first Golus and the Geula therefrom. Then he says, how can I say the Geula therefrom? The Geula is not till they return back to Eretz Yisrael. That's after Moshe Rabbeinu dies. That's not in the Chumash. That's in Sefer Yoshua. So the Ramban writes that's not the Geula. The Geula, when Yaakov Avinu went down to Mitzrayim with the whole family, the main tragedy was not so much that they left Eretz Yisrael. It was a shtickle tragedy. The main tragedy was they no longer had Hashras Hashchina. The Ovis used to have Hashras Hashchina. He paraphrases a pasuk in the Sodalaka Alei Ahalehem. Sodalaka Alei Ahali. So he says the Ovis had Sodalaka Alei Ahalehem, not Hashras Hashchina. Rashi and Chumash quotes him. So Ovis ain't HaMerkava, like a Merkava of the Shchina. Because it says Vayalmi Olav Alakim. So the Ovis were like a Merkava of the Shchina. When they went down to Mitzrayim, there was no Hashras Hashchina. By the time you get to the end of Chumash Mos, you read Truma Tetzava Vayakal Pikudei, that Hashras Hashchina in the Mishkan. That's the Geula. In 1948, when they established the Medina, so the Chazon Ish was already in Eretz before the Second World War. So they quote in the biographies, the Chazon Ish made the statement that the Hakamas HaMedina is the end of the Golus, but it's not yet the Geula. So it sounds like double talk. It's not double talk. They're two different things. The end of the Golus, whoever wants can come to Eretz Yisrael. It's a Jewish government. They invite all the Jews from all over the world to come and join in Eretz Yisrael. Nobody preventing you. But the Geula means Hashras Hashchina. Hashras Hashchina, you have to have Dina Beis Hamikdash. The Gemara says, Melchames is Aschalta the Geula, because the Geula means B'nisan Nigalu, B'nisan Asirim Nigalu. What do you mean Nisan Nigalu? It's yes, Mitzrayim. I don't think so. I think Nisan Nigalu means that the Mishkan, the Shmini L'Meiluim, was Rosh Chodesh Nisan. The Nisan Asirim Nigalu is the pasuk in the end of Yecheskel. It says, Lasid Lavai. Says Lasid Lavai, they'll bring Karbanis V'Chanukas Habayis HaShlishi for 6.5 months, starting from Rosh Chodesh Nisan till after Sukkot. In addition to the regular Tvidim and Mitzvah, it says they'll bring special Karbanis V'Chanukas Habayis HaShlishi. The Malbim there in the end of Yecheskel has a long calculation. I forgot it, but if I remember, he says in the days of Moshe Rabbeinu, the Shivas Yimei HaMiluim. Then he says in the days of Baisheni, in the days of when they built the Mishkan, it was Shivas Yimei HaMiluim. The Mishkan. When Shlomo Melech built the Bais Rishon, it says they celebrated Shivas Yomim and Shivas Yomim. So I didn't think that that's what it meant. So the Malbim says it means they celebrated 2 weeks, Chanukah's Habayis HaRishon. Then it says when they built the Bais Sheni, it says in Tanakh that they celebrated Chanukah's Habayis HaSheni for 3 weeks. And then it says Lasid Love, they're going to celebrate for 6.5 months. So it makes a whole cheshbon, why 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and why 6.5 months. But that's what Geula means. Geula means when you have a Hashras Hashchina. So if the Chazal say, Mochamas are Aschalta de Geula, the Gemara HaGeula is when you have Hashras Hashchina. So we have to pray to the Baruch Hashem. This should be the last war of all the wars. We should be Yotzim Mechamas Gog and Magog with this. In the Hasidic Sfarim they write that there won't be any Mechamas Gog and Magog. So they have two versions. So some write, we were Yotze already, all the pogroms all put together, we were Yotze Mechamas Gog and Magog. And others say differently, that the Heilige Tzadikim, the Admurim from the past, were mispalled to the Baruch Shalom, to be Mevatel, the Mechamas Gog and Magog, and the Baruch Shalom agreed. They heard the Baruch Shalom agreed. How do they know what the answer is? I don't know. They have an inside. I don't know how do they know. And maybe this is Mechamas Gog and Magog. We should pray to the Baruch Shalom. He promised us. He has to fulfill his promise. He swore by his throne. He's going to wipe out Amalek, and he's going to give koyach to the tzal, that they should become shutfim to wipe out Amalek, and that's the Tov Vavah. They become shutfim with the Rosham and completion of the Bria. We believe in the theme of Malchus, that there will be a day that all of mankind, Moshe Mashiach, why? Because we have a cloud. The Rebbeinu Shalom doesn't make any nisim unnecessarily. The Rishonim talk about it. Why is Nes Chanukah, why did it burn for 8 days? So the Rambam writes, because it took 8 days till they were able to get Shem and Torah. If they would have been able to get Shem and Torah in 3 days, there would be no need to have the Shem and burn for 8 days. It wouldn't have happened. We have a cloud. The Gemara has such a letter. Baruch Shalom not going to make a nes limagona for nothing, bechinam. You only do a nes when it's absolutely necessary. So Baruch Shalom made a fantastic nes. No one knows what the world it is. He created the world yesh miyai. How can you create anything yesh miyad? How is that not humanly possible? Created a world yesh miyad. And what did he accomplish by creating a world? It's a miserable world. Everybody killing each other. Everybody kinas ishmeireh. Everybody's in competition with everybody. Everybody's saying lashon hara about everybody else. Nobody gets along with anybody. So what did he accomplish by making such a miserable world? So we believe, one of the Koranim, we believe there will be a Tkufas, there will be a Mashiach, and there will be a theme. All the nations of the world will recognize Malchus HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This was told to Moshe Rabbeinu before Yitzias Mitzrayim. He said, when I come to Bnei Yisrael, he doesn't even know. Yom Ali Mashma, Ma'im Alem. I don't even know what Shem Hashem. So he said, tell him, Eke Asher Eke. That's one of the Zayin Shem Shem Yimchakim. What does it mean? So Rashi quotes from the Met, Eyimayim B'gol Azuv, Eyimayim Losid Lavoi. Then Moshe Rabbeinu said, Da'il Tzar B'Shaita. But it was told to Moshe Rabbeinu then, before he says that there's going to be a Gula Hasida that will redeem the whole world. The whole world now has no value. It's a wasted miracle. The Baruch Shalom created the world. Yes, he accomplished nothing with this. A couple of years that brought karbonas, there a couple of tzaddikim doing, but the rest of the world was cooler wishes. We believe there will come a day that there will be Malchus. All the nations of the world will accept Malchus HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So that's why on Pesach night we celebrate not only the Gula from Mitzrayim, we conclude with Nishmas Kalchai, the Baruch HaShimcha. That's the theme of now. The day will come that all of mankind will recognize HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They won't all have to convert to become Jews. They'll all recognize Malchus HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So we should pray to the Baruch Shalom. Shain Tzai, it's enough time to wipe out Amalek. Give us, you fulfill your part of the promise. He's going to wipe out. You should give us koyach too. We should be able to help you wipe out Amalek. And this should be the final Muhammad. This should lead up to the Gula. That's what we have to pray for.
So Shiva can just give the Tzibur a bracha. The Amma Yeshu B'tzion. There are a few people here who couldn't come because they're either in Aza or they're in Miluim. There's a lot of people here who have their kids that are in the army. So if the Shiva can give us a bracha.
I have 4 grandchildren and 1 son-in-law. One son-in-law has his own grandchildren. But when they call up the reserves, he's one of the first ones to run. The Rebbeinu Shalom should protect all of their soldiers. He should lift them all. We could all use an extra dose of Yerushalayim. The Gemara says, "Ein yisol nigolam ela b'tshuva." You have to do tshuva. And then Rabbi Yeshua tells Rabbi Lezer, what's going to be if you don't do tshuva? We all have b'chir chavshis, but if you don't want to do tshuva, so the Gemara says, Rabbi Yeshua says, "HaKadosh Baruch Hu ma'aman aleim melech Rasha Kahaman," and he'll be goyzeg zeris melech Rasha Kahaman to kill every single Jewish person, man, woman, and child. That's like Haman. And then when we're going to have that punishment, ben Hashemayim, then we're going to be chayzer b'tshuva. We should all have achdus together. We should all have tshuva. And there should be maybe the day to go. We should all be healthy and we should all be a zecher to be mekabel b'shem al-shem.